G'day, I'm Colin Dangard. 40 years ago, I brought the Australian stock saddle to America, making horses more comfortable and riders safer. I developed a whole line of product connected to that saddle, and it'll last through generations. You'll pass it on to your kids and their kids. Check it out, mate. ColinDangard.com. Bye. So to get an idea what this book is about, Talking with Horses, let me read the prelude here. This is a love story, and it happens in the hills of Malibu, California. That's where I live. A beautiful young college student with autism unwittingly uses her condition to communicate with a horse in a way that was common between humans and horses millions of years ago. For Emma, it happens as naturally as breathing. Other modern people can also communicate like this today, but for most it is difficult, requiring training and concentration that is rare. The brain of modern man mantles his oldest brain, a cerebral structure that performs a primary function in autism. This is Emma's story, and how she finds love with a troubled young man in real time and with a lieutenant of Attila, the Hun, in an autistic fantasy. She is a warrior at his side in bloody conflicts with the Romans. Emma's Hun lover saves her life, and she saves his life. This is also the story of the evolution of the horse and how man and horse learn to communicate. The book is Talking with Horses, and I get lots of people with horses, and they say, I worked on your thought there, and it has improved my relationship with my horse greatly, because now I feel he is what I've always thought he was, a very, very close friend. So there we go. And so I'll read a forward here. So I get lots of reviews on this that have been very positive. It's very encouraging, by the way. You can stay up all night writing books, and but when you start getting somewhere with people who are noticing your book or talking about it or getting the thought of it, that's a good thing. So here's chapter 1. Saturday, January 17, 2010. The Santa Monica Mountains, California. A full moon silhouetting rugged cliffs against a clear night sky. Emma Armbrust could read right now if she had a book. She is riding her 17-hand horse Tower, a thoroughbred with man-o'-war breeding on both sides. Emma Armbrust is 18 years old, the horse 10 years, which in human years makes Tower 40. Emma often thinks about this and marvels at how Tower doesn't feel that old. Tower rotates one ear back in her direction, and she smiles. He knows what she is thinking. She has projected an image of a very old, sway-backed horse. Emma pats his neck and says, "There now, I think you're just as young as you feel." And when Emma's talking with a horse in this book, she talks fluently and easily, which is how it happened for me when I was very young and stammered very badly. If I talked with my horse Queenie, I spoke very easily. If I talked with another person, it was very difficult. Anyhow, back to the book. Emma pats his neck and says, "There now, I think you're just as young as you feel." The ears rotate back in a forward position. Tower is okay with that thought. "Come on," she says. "Let's gallop up this hill. I know you hate to walk uphill." She does not kick him or use a crop. She simply leans forward, ever so slightly, so her body does not whip back as Tower leaps in a flat gallop. And even before she leans forward, she knows he knows what she is thinking. He tells her, this feels really good, as the hills slip beneath her at breathtaking speed. Tower's hooves are muffled on earth, softened by heavy rain. Like a dancer, he carefully negotiates deep ruts caused by running water. 15 minutes later, they crest the ridge on top of a mesa. The sky so close, it seems to Emma she could reach out and touch it. Emma feels Tower's heart beating between her legs as he sucks in vast amounts of air. His nostrils flare like trumpets. His hot breath frosts the night. Way down in the valley below, Emma sees the lights of her father's horse farm, where Tower was bred to race. But despite his impressive breeding, he was slow. Years later, when Tower was 6 years old and Emma 13, she started riding him, having given up her pony Nugget. Tower told her that he wasn't slow at all. He just didn't like the competition, didn't like racing against his friends in the way people wanted, didn't like the spurs, didn't like the whips. He was okay with racing it as play, but not as work. He liked to jump, which he did at every opportunity. Several times he jumped out of the paddock, until Emma told him to quit doing that or he would be sent down the road. She overheard her father tell the stable hand Manuel as much. Emma didn't like Manuel, and Tower didn't like him either. Because Tower couldn't run fast enough to win, Manuel considered him dog food in search of a can. Tower does not have to have the direct communication with Manuel that he exists between him and Emma, because Manuel cannot read the pictures in Tower's head the way Emma can. Between Tower and Emma, the images are crystal clear, going both ways. With these pictures, words are not necessary. Indeed, they hinder. At most, they are tools of exclamation and embellishment. This is how it was millions of years ago between man and horse. And this is how it is today between Emma and Tower. Few people today have this power of extraordinary communication. Most who do are of varying degrees autistic. I must say, I'm autistic as well. Used to be quite severe, I guess, but in those days we didn't call it autism, we just call it, he's a bit of an idiot, something like that. Emma studies the ground. The print is still there, a mountain lion. She saw it yesterday afternoon. Judging by the size of the paw print, the lion is about 250 pounds. Tower is completely disinterested. He knows the lion is long gone. He has picked up its electromagnetic energy, the image in Tower's mind, which he knows Emma is receiving now, is a lioness way over the North Ridge. Suddenly Tower freezes and looks up at the moon, his body trembling. Emma follows his riveted concentration and then sees what Tower sees. It is as if her body is drawn up through the tunnel of light that is her gaze. The image has clear edges and it cuts up into the night sky. At the end, there is a very bright light that seems to draw Emma up, moving her at ever-increasing speed until she is overwhelmed by the dense brightness. Crackling thunder and lightning split the night sky as if disemboweling the heavens. Rain drives down on Emma. Drops as large, so large they feel like rocks flying in her face. Solid ground is under her feet now. The air is filled with screaming. Blood everywhere as a horde of mounted horsemen bear down on a small village. All around her, death and pain and terrible anger, terrible agony. Emma is flat on the ground now, slammed down by a massive force, and one of the savages crashes upon her, tearing at her deerskin garments, pulling at her hair. She is overwhelmed with this raw, rotten stench of his breath. It smells of blood. The night is swirling around her as if she is lost in a whirlpool of black water. being sucked down, down, down. Women and children scream, a background of pain and thunder and driving rain. The man is on top of Emma now, his eyes blazing into her soul. Then he throws back his head and screams like a hyena, a sound piercing Emma's ears. Emma knows she is going to die, but then suddenly she sees him, a tall man, appearing as a rising backdrop behind their attacker. His skin, not black, not white, a golden brown. His chest is bare except for a gold amulet hanging from his neck. Veins pump like whipcords, sweat glistening off muscles, rippled across his torso and down his massive arms. She locks eyes with this man behind the monster, and his eyes stop her heart, as they always did. Oh yes, it's him all right. She has seen him before, many times. The eyes glow green. His face is finely chiseled, black hair pulled back and tied with a leather thong. Emma is aware of a bloody sword in his hand as he grabs her attacker by the hair, pulls back his head and draws the sword across the monster's throat, stretched and vulnerable, perfectly angled for a clean, deep slash. Like a bow pulled across a string of a musical instrument, a closing symphony of death. Emma feels a red-hot gush in her face. She locks eyes with this man who has saved her, his great frame now completely vulnerable, as the savage is flung aside like a bloody rag doll. He smiles, his teeth brilliant and white in the moonlight. He leans forward, wipes his face. His hands strong but incredibly soft and warm. The hands cup Emma's head, and the warrior asks, "You are all right?" She hears his words so clearly, although all around her them is ear-splitting chaos, screaming, clanging of swords, the animal-like bellowing of bloodthirsty savages, and the driving rain, the sky hemorrhaging thunder and lightning. The man locks eyes with her one more time for what seems like forever, but in fact an instant. His green eyes deliver a burning beam of light that goes deep into Emma's soul. Emma looks past the green eyes now, and there is another warrior, his sword raised, a giant of a man, with a leopard skin over his head, and he is screaming, not at Emma, but at the man with the green eyes. "Why haven't you killed her? She is a worthless piece of meat. We have raided this village to kill. In a flash, the man with the green eyes ducks now low and swings his sword upward, sending the sword from the hand of Leopard Man rattling off into the storm. Now Leopard Man is defenseless, his eyes wide with fear. And then the man with the green eyes puts his sword to the throat of the Leopard Man and says, "I rank above you with Attila. Never try that again or you will die. We are warriors, not savages. We kill other warriors. We do not kill the defenseless. This girl lives." Leopard Man growls and spits. "You are soft. You are not a real killer. Attila will hear about this." And then the vision fades, and now Emma is shivering. She opens her eyes, the relief flooding her over her. She is so thankful to be sitting now on tower, here in the hills of Malibu, the night suddenly blanketed in deep silence. Her heartbeat slows, her whole being shaken by those piercing eyes. Emma is calm but confused. She has seen this man many times, but always in her dreams, her vision time, as she privately thinks of it. This was the first time she had seen vision in her awake time. She composes herself and sucks in the cool air. Tower snorts and tells her he is fine too. Oh yes, he witnessed the battle because Emma had seen it and, as usual, shared the pictures with him. For Tower, the horror of it has also passed. He is now ready for Emma's command. Emma's cell phone rings, shrill and strange in the setting. It's her father, Ellen. "Yes," she tells him. "She's coming home right now." And we go on.